Hey, welcome back to Bridal Sewing Techniques, and we're interrupting our normal videos that we produced to bring you another mask video. Last week we did one that just showed you a simple cotton pleated mask that really doesn't offer much protection, but this week I wanted to just up it a little bit and share with you how you can make a face mask. I know many of us in the sewing communities have been asked to lay aside the wedding gowns and the prom dresses and take up this public service help of making some face masks, and I wanted you guys to be able to know how you can get your hands on some more special filtering fabrics and a better design that's going to protect your healthcare workers and your community just a little bit more. So I hope this helps you. I know it's not bridal sewing, but hey, we're in the middle of a pandemic here, people. Are you someone who has experience with a mix of sewing but is looking to get into the bridal sewing niche? This channel is for you. Hit subscribe to become a part of the community. And I have one of these masks. They are like gold right now. It's the N95 by 3M. This is the one that is, this was actually for construction, and this is one of them that they're trying to get the rapid approval to go ahead and use it for medical, because they weren't approved for medical use, but apparently the filtration is still very on point. This was more for like construction particles, things of that nature. That's my understanding from everything that I've been hearing in the news. And of course, as we all know, it's sad, but we almost have to take the news for a grain of salt sometimes, because it's ever changing. Every day we hear something different. And it would be wonderful if we could get some sure answers on this, but I'm just doing the best with the information that I have as of today, March 20th, 2020. It's, again, ever changing. So the last video that I had on masks, a lot of people were moving away from the cotton and going to a knit and a synthetic knit instead of a woven cotton, and now the needle has moved back toward the woven cotton, and of course everybody's up in arms about my video now, but I was giving the best information that I had at the time, that actually the CDC was saying not to wear masks, and now, you know, there's mixed reviews, and there are hospitals currently right now calling on the public to make masks and to make them. Some of the hospitals are requesting cotton, a woven cotton, and people are saying you can Google it and find out what your local hospital is asking for if you want to volunteer and make the masks. So do the research yourself. I'm not the authority on any of this. I'm just going to teach you how to make something that's shaped like this out of kind of the best materials that I can find right now. And so you're going to have to do the researching for yourself for the day that you are watching this and find what is best and safest for you, what your local hospital will accept, and what you feel the most comfortable with. I hope I got all the disclaimers out of the way. All right, let's get going on this. All right, so I have some 3/8 braided elastic. You could also use 1/4 or whatever you have really at this point, right? But the wider the elastic is, the stronger it's going to be. So you are going to have to test and adjust the length if you use a different width elastic. Now this does have this nose piece that allows it to mold to the nose. That is very critical because you need to fill all the gaps. So you're filling the gaps around your nose. As you know, everybody's nose is different, so we're gonna make sure we have that. I'm gonna use some millinery wire for that, but guys, think outside of the box. We're talking paper clips, the bendable rubber coated paper clips. We're talking bread twist ties. If you put 3 or 4 of them in there and encase them in fabric and put hot glue on the points so there's no sharp edges and get them in there, that's probably going to work as well. So think out of the box and think of things that you're comfortable with. Now this one, I am gonna sacrifice this one to this video. I'm gonna kind of take it apart, but as you can tell, it's actually been used. I grabbed it out of the toolbox. It was used in a construction project this summer. So I'm not just ruining a perfectly good face mask. Now it does also have this foam that's gonna help fill in the gaps a little bit and help you to breathe. So for that, I'm just gonna use a little piece of felt. Again, use your imagination with this. Little strips of this come with when you buy air conditioners in the box. So maybe you have like a window unit box, AC unit, and there's lots of foam in there. Again, this all may not even be safe for your skin or your face. So you're gonna have to do that on your own. Maybe even some folded up flannel that has quite a bit of loft to it, or minky fabric or something you could cut and put in there. So you do what you feel on that. My guess is the closest you can get to the original design is probably the safest you're going to be. They did just simply glue these on, and they heat sealed these together, these layers. I'm actually going to sew this, and I'll probably even sew this. But anything that we need to stabilize or whatever, I'm going to go ahead and use the hot glue gun. I also think it's important that if when you're stitching, if you're using a larger needle and your puncture holes are a little bit larger, you may want to seal those holes off with some hot glue. Because, you know, you're breathing through this. This is quite restrictive. It takes, you know, a lot of filtering to get through this. If you're breathing through this, the air particles are going to just zip right in through those larger holes. If you're using a size 18 needle, like I often use for thicker jobs, it's just going to zip right through there, and then it's defeating the purpose. So just kind of keep that in mind and make sure you cure over any holes with some hot glue as you go along. All right, let's dive in. All right, so I pulled these off and I cut some elastic. I did not just measure this and go for it. What I did was I took some of this elastic out and I wrapped it around my head, stopping where my imaginary mask is going to end up on my face. And I got it to the right tension where I thought, oh, this is a good strong tension to really pull this back. Now, when you see doctors and nurses take their mask off, there's an imprint on their face. The mask has been pulled back so tight on their face to create that seal. And that's what they're talking about online when they say, well, people don't even know how to wear masks. The general public doesn't even know how to wear a mask, so it doesn't do any good. That's one of the key points to wearing one. So for me, with the tension that this elastic affords, it's about 13 inches long, really about 13.5 inches long, and I cut 2 strips of that. All right, so for the nose piece part, again, you want to match as much as you can the flexibility and the durability and the strength of each of the components of the mask. Here's the millinery wire. Again, just, you know, get some wire from your hardware store or whatever. Alright, so I'm going to turn this in. So that it won't accidentally scratch. Great. All right, so I'm going to dab a little hot glue on this so that way we don't have to worry about this popping out and jabbing anybody. I put the little spot of glue on there. And now we're going to cut this up and make a pattern so that you can start working with the filter material. That to get into it. I just went ahead and bought one of the bigger ones. The price difference was not that much, and you get so much more fabric. Now, they do mention online that the pleating, like you'll notice when you buy this, the pleats vary, like the depth and the number of pleats per inch. As you get up into the more advanced filtering capabilities, you do have more pleats per inch and a deeper pleat. So I'm sure that has part to do with how much it blocks is, you know, the surface area of the filter for what you're using, and the pleating allows for more of that. So I'm not just going to use one layer. I'm going to go ahead and do 2 layers. If you're actually donating to a hospital, all of your tools you're going to want to sanitize before. I'm just doing this one as a demo and then just for myself. But if I were doing this for a hospital, I would run everybody out of the room, make sure everything was sanitized, wash my hands really well, and probably dip my tools into boiling water and disinfect them so that whatever I do could be as sterile as possible, although we know we cannot reach medical grade sterility, right? I got the tip close to one of these pieces a second ago, and it made me think we need to make sure we don't snip the fabric that's in here, right? Because then there you go, you'd have a big old air leak and defeat the whole purpose. So try to be careful with that. And we're getting somewhere. All right. Oh, so it's kind of adhered to the pleats a little bit as well. Oh, this is awesome. Going up these verticals and just go right along that line in the ditch of the pleat there. That's nice. Yay. All right, so since we obviously, I mean, you could make one that is like airproof on the sides and it has this box in the front. I did think about that design. Do you breathe through a box? You can do that, but the way I thought I would do it is just kind of press this flat and fold it over and make it 2 layers deep of this. Kind of like how they did this. If you're familiar with my channel, you know I'm into reality. I don't do this like fake little pretty perfect, I call it, like a lot of the sewing tutorials you see online, and my subscribers love that. So anyways, I'm going to use a press cloth so that way the fibers don't get kind of melted by the iron or get anything sticky on the iron. And we're just gonna press this thing flat. All right. Each project, of course, can call for a different amount of seam allowance. I'm just gonna do the 1/4 to prevent too much waste as we make these repeatedly. I'm kind of marking the corners of these darts here, and then I'm going to put my pencil down in there and mark that little tip of the dart. There we go. And so that's going to kind of outline where those darts are going to be. And we're going to make this a pattern, and we're going to kind of copy it over and over. I want to do this mask 2 layers deep, or 2 layers thick. So I'm cutting out 4 because this pattern piece is just half of the mask. Now again, if this is difficult for breathing on you to do the 2, try the 2. It does take some getting used to. It's kind of uncomfortable, but try the 2. If not, if you feel like you need to back off of it, people are saying right now the CDC is approving for homemade masks to do 2 layers of a tightly woven cotton. So perhaps, you know, if you feel comfortable with it, you can trade it out for a cotton plus a filter layer, and see if that's maybe a little bit easier for you to breathe. I did find that I could breathe through it. It just definitely felt different to begin with. And perhaps this is where you could recruit a doctor or nurse friend of yours who's used to wearing these N95 rated respirators, and see if the 2 layers of the filter feel what they're used to feeling or not. Obviously, we're not going to work with pins right now, because if I were to like pin these together, then I would be putting holes in it, and we don't want to do that. So I'm just going to squeeze the filter fabric together really tightly as I cut, so that they don't walk away from each other as I cut. Alright, so I've put the markings on both sides, and I've put the markings on my hands as well. That's my humor. So anyways, what we're gonna do is I want the marking side in, and we're gonna do each of these individually. Alright, so we're gonna line up these dots and then put our finger here. So we are going to sew all of these darts basically 6 times per half. So this one has 3, the other one's gonna have 3, and we're gonna put it together to where the dart is gonna be on the inside, not the outside. I'm gonna arc my stitches this way so that it's nice and round. Alright, so we have them like this now. Now we're gonna go ahead and sew them together, the right sides together of one set. I'm gonna snip to help it with the curve, but I'm not gonna cross that line of stitches. Alright, there's one. And now we're gonna put nest one on the inside of the other one. Alright, so I'm just gonna kind of baste them together so they don't move around. Now I'm saying baste, but this is not a stitch I'm gonna have to undo, so I'm just gonna go ahead and let it be a normal stitch length. We're just gonna kind of force them to nest together here. If anything wants to be fussy, just make it go together nice and flat. You're in charge, not this filter fabric. right? And I'm just going to put a little pleat right here where it doesn't perfectly align. There's been a lot of walking going on. Alright, so if you're in a hurry, you could always stop there, right? And just put your elastic on here. If you're not in a hurry and you're just making this for yourself, you can bind the edges of this to make it look a little neater and a little more substantial. Alright, so with 3 dots of low temp glue gun, I've just kind of stabilized this wire, and then I'm gonna take the highest swoop, is gonna be the nose. All right, and we're gonna sew this piece into there. Let's see. You could either try, putting this on your face and seeing where is it most comfortable for you, or you could just go by where they had it on the original mask. And again, I don't want to go through this part of the mask, so I'm just going to stitch here on the edge again. I don't want to break the seal on your face by putting this under here, so it's just going to have to be nice and ugly on the outside. If you want to zazzle it up another way, you can, right? Alright guys, and there you go. Here's a mask that if you don't touch your face and if you don't fiddle with it, it might be better than nothing. How's that for a super safe way of so-called recommending this, right? But here's your filter face mask, and you're gonna put it on like this. This part goes under your chin. This part goes across the bridge of your nose. This part completely seals your cheek. So it goes over the nose and under the chin. I imagine you could also line this with something pretty. If you wanted to put a layer of cotton or something over it, that may even give you better protection and personalize it for you so you don't get a mix-up among family members or whatever. If you have to go out, you know whose is whose. I hope this has helped you. You guys stay healthy and stay safe. Thank you for watching. Please share, hit subscribe, hit like if you liked this video. I appreciate you all so much, and I want you all to just be well and be calm and be happy. If you would like to know more about my channel, stay tuned. Here comes my channel trailer. I know what you're looking for. You've been sewing for years, but you want to get into full-time bridal sewing. But there's something missing. You're missing the backroom secrets, the industry tips and tricks. The tools, the sources, the techniques that give you the speed and the accuracy that the industry demands. You have found it.